Good morning. We have some honored guests here today, and I'd ask Shannon Riley to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. Welcome to the January 16th, 2014 meeting of the Shawnee County Commission. My name is Bob Archer. I serve as chair of the commission, and I also proudly serve with Commissioner Kevin Cook from District 2 and Commissioner Shelley Bueller from District 1.
Good morning.
Morning. We do have a guest clerk this morning, so please begin. First item.
Item number 1, proclamations, presentations. Presentation of a check in the amount of $20,000 by Topeka Civic Theater and Academy.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Knight, Parks and Recreation. I know you'll remember having some of these items before you, but right before the end of the year in 2012, right before you guys, we had new commissioners come on. We had the Helen Hawker Theater was a point of discussion. We'd reduced some of the operating costs there and had recommended having a contract with the Topeka Civic Theater to run those programs for us. If you'll recall, that basically our intentions was to reduce the subsidy that the county paid to operate that to about $40,000. Since that time, they started up around the March, April timeframe is when they got started. So they haven't had a full year there to even operate yet. But that program has run terrifically, and I think even better than both me and them anticipated. And that's what they're here for today, is to kind of bring some of that news to you. With that, I'd like to introduce Vicki Brocky with Topeka Civic Theater to come up here.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Vicki Brocky. I'm the President and CEO of Topeka Civic Theater and Academy. And as we're hitting this one-year anniversary, it's a great chance for us to tell you how much we really have appreciated this opportunity. Our partnership with Shawnee County Parks and Recreation for the management of Helen Hawker has gone what we believe famously. It's really gone very, very well. I'd also like to acknowledge Shannon Riley, our artistic director, for his leadership in transitioning the program and developing our own programs. I think probably the greatest accomplishment that Shannon and I had last year was hiring an outstanding staff, the best folks possible, to run the programs. So I'd like to introduce you to our Associate Artistic and Education Director, Joanna Lastly, and she'll share with you a few of the highlights and successes we had in 2013.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Jo Lastly with Topeka Civic Theater and Helen Hawker Theater. And like Vicki said, just a couple of the highlights that we've had since operating Helen Hawker Theater are through the calendar year through 2013, we had 6 different productions, which included 2 bathhouse player productions and 3 additional youth productions, as well as one of which is a TYP Topeka Youth Players production, and 1 adult production. And 3 of these 6 productions were total sellouts. We also had a very successful summer camp with 3 sessions, 3 weeks each, and in total served 187 children. We also are continuing the Bathhouse Player Program, which is part of the history of Helen Hawker Theater, and it continues to thrive both with previous members and with some new members who have joined. And this summer, we served roughly 50 children in that program. We've also been able to launch our countrywide outreach program. We were aided with a $10,000 grant from the Women's Fund to help with startup supplies, and we started it with a class in Rossville, which was an 8-week class that we concluded in 2013, and we now have 2 additional outreach classes that are going to begin at the end of this month. And yeah, those are the good ones. That's it. There you go. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And with that, I will turn it over to our chairman of the board, Jim Ogle.
Good morning, Commissioners.
When we last visited this issue with you, you had asked us to keep the spirit and the heart of the Helen Hucker Theater project going forward. We believe we've done that, but we also believe that we've been good stewards of the commitment you made to us in partnership and have done one better. As John mentioned, the initial contract saved the allocation of about $40,000 of money that you had in the previous budget. We're pleased to present to you, because we are a community of big checks, this big check for $20,000 in additional money that we're paying back out to decrease the amount of total subsidy that you paid in the last year as a reflection of what we've been able to accomplish in this partnership. Collaboration in this community is so important, and we're proud to have collaborated with you to provide an increased level of service while at the same time a better use of taxpayer monies, and we're so excited about the coming 2 years of the contract. Thank you all very much.
Hey, the order of John Knight, I don't know that.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Jim. Shannon, did you want to say anything? You're never at a loss for words.
I was told I was eye candy today, so, no. It is my pleasure to be here. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, but more than anything else, I want to quote what I heard over and over again from all of the kids who attend Helen Hocker as laughter returned to that building. Thank you for keeping our theater alive. Thank you very much.
And again, thank you, and thank you for coming. I'd like to add an item to the agenda if there's, if it's okay with everyone. It's a health agency item, and I'd like to put it as item E5.
Yes,
Any problem with
I would,
that?
is that a motion?
Sure.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item number 3, consent agenda.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Cook.
I would move that we remove item 2 from the consent agenda, making it H1. And that is in light of the treasurer's idle funds, and maybe just having our audit finance director describe that a little bit more in detail. I know there's some charts and graphs that go along with it. And that is a motion
Okay.
to remove number 2 and make it H1.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook to approve the consent agenda as amended, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item number 4, new business. A, county clerk, consider all voucher payments.
Mr. Chair, we have, as of January the 15th, 2014, payments from vouchers of $951,771.87. All of my questions have been answered. I would make a motion to approve the vouchers as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller to approve voucher payments as presented. All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
I believe there are no correction orders.
All right, there are no correction orders. Next item, please.
Item B1, County Councilor, consider resolution number 2014-8, urging the Kansas Legislature and Governor Sam Brownback to retain the mortgage registration fee as provided in KSA 79-3102 and reject any or all legislative proposals abolishing such fee.
Good morning, Commissioners. Rick Checkard, Counselor. This is a resolution that has been suggested by Kansas Association of Counties. It's their form that they sent out, and they've requested that the counties approve this and get it back to them by tomorrow. The reason they want it so quick is that we do now officially have a hearing. It's going to be in the Senate Tax Committee, which isn't the best place for it to be for our purposes. So that hearing has been set for January 21st at 1:30, and I expect the counties will be attending in force, and I certainly will be there too. I don't usually read the blogs after stories, but for some reason I did on this particular matter when the story came out a couple days ago, and someone said on there that they wish the taxes were tailored towards the needs. And I thought that actually was a pretty good comment. So with the help of Audit Finance, I went and looked it up, and for the 2012 budget year, the budget of the county clerk, the appraiser, and the register of deeds came to $2.6 million. The fee brought in $2.55 million. I think that's tailored fairly well. The problem is that if you look at the 2 years before that, the tax in 2011 was, it brought in $1.6 million, but the budgets for those three offices was $3.0 million. In 2010, it brought in $1.8 million, and the budgets were $3.1 million. So it might have been tailored 1 year, but in the 2 years before that, it fell drastically short. So that's the point that we're going to be trying to make next week.
Commissioner Cook?
Mr. Chair, I would move for the approval of Resolution 14-8 regarding the mortgage registration fee being presented to the legislature and opposition to such abolishing of that fee.
Comment. I'll second the motion.
Commissioner
But
Bueller.
I mean, there's several responsibilities that we have as an arm of the state, the county does, and this is one of those areas, the Register of Deeds, treasurer.
County clerk and
clerk.
appraiser. Yeah, these are statutory duties.
Right, that we have to do, correct?
Correct.
So, and I continue to be concerned about just our revenue going down. So, yes, I'll second the motion.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Bueller. And this issue is critical for Shawnee County and every county in the state of Kansas. And motion has been made by Commissioner Cook and seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye, opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item C1, Parks and Recreation. Consider approval of request for emergency purchase for professional restoration services for water damage in the Parks and Recreation Administrative Office basement at a cost of $1,687.89.
Commissioners, we had a water pipe freeze and burst. We had water coming into the basement of our administration office. My office is upstairs. The only people downstairs are Randy Luby and Terry Bertles, so it was more of an emergency for them. But this is a request. We contacted Audit Finance and had them come out and bring our office back up, clean up the water and the mess. Be happy to answer any other questions you may have.
Any questions or discussion?
I do have a question.
All
Mr.
right,
Chairman.
Commissioner Bueller.
Any long-term damage, though, to drywall or anything like that, or did they get it up pretty quickly?
No, there was a few papers stored on the floor that got damaged, but other than
Didn't
that,
go
we
into the
were,
drywall or
no long-term issues at all.
Thank you.
Okay.
Move approval of the request.
Second?
Motion made by Commissioner Bueller to approve, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye, opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Next item.
Item D, Corrections. Consider approval of request for out-of-state travel for 4 employees to attend a National Institute of Corrections Direct Supervision Train the Trainer program at an estimated cost of $300.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Cole, Department of Corrections. Before you is a request, I guess it's a second request for approval. Back in 2013 in January, this request for out-of-state travel was approved, but through some shortfalls of the federal government, they changed the training to this year. And so we're coming back again asking for the approval. I know it was approved before, but we felt it necessary to come back before you all to seek approval. This is training for 4 individuals to go to the NIC, National Institute of Corrections in, I believe, is it Colorado? Yeah, we're going to go to Colorado for direct supervision. We are a direct supervision facility, and this is will enhance our services and ability to train our officers in the modules who are working directly in the housing modules. They pay for the cost, other than we're responsible for the meal or lunches, which is, we believe, will only be for the whole week, will be $300. We have that in our budget.
Move approval of the request.
I would second, but I do have one question.
Commissioner Cook?
Director Cole, by having our trainers go out and have their training in Colorado and then coming back, is this saving the county money so that we're not having outside people come in to
Oh,
do
yes,
this training?
absolutely. A lot of times when you have, NIC will come in and help you set up training, but a lot of times you do have to pay trainers to come in, and you're looking maybe sometimes up to as much as $2,000 or $3,000 for a trainer to come in just for a day, and this is for a week. So yes, it does save us a lot of money for us being able to get out there.
So not only are we enhancing our staff's knowledge and abilities, we're also saving the county money at the same time.
Absolutely.
And with that, I would gladly second.
Yeah, thank you, and that's a good point, Commissioner Cook, and I appreciate that. The motion to approve was made by Commissioner Bueller and seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye, opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item D2, corrections, consider authorization and execution of contract C-29-2014, amendment to contract C-598-2013 for emergency repair to the main water line for fire suppression at the Juvenile Detention Center at a final cost of $39,092.50.
Good morning, Brian Cole again, Department of Corrections. Back in December, we had a major water break that we felt that when we came back before the board, when we had our vendor come in and look at it, they thought it was going to be close to $10,000. We came before you and had the approval for that. Lo and behold, nothing works as planned. What we thought, some of the blueprints to the facility was not correct, and they ended up having to put in a lot more, going through different offices, ceilings, and things like that, the facility. And it ended up being much more. It ended up being $39,092.50. The $10,000 that was in, that is included. This was the total cost. But we were able to get it fixed. I don't believe there was any long-term damage to any ceilings, things like that. We did get it fixed, and I believe it's done, is it? Yes.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Cook?
Director Cole, is this covered by our insurance policy? I know that when we look at roof repair and things of that nature, we have a deductible of $10,000. But is this something that could be covered by our insurance policies?
I don't know. Tim, you might have to answer that one. I'm sure it could.
Tim Phelps, Department of Corrections. In fact, we have now initiated a claim with insurance, and preliminary indicators that they gave was that they might challenge it, but they're coming out to do the work or to look at it and determine. So we have initiated that process. And they would basically reimburse us the difference between our deductible and the cost of this work.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Yes.
Brian, did we encumber those funds, the 10,000? Have we, okay.
Yeah.
But only
Yes.
10,000, correct?
No.
Or
No.
we didn't,
We did
refresh
encumber
my
the
memory.
amount that we estimated, this larger amount that we estimated.
Okay, all right, good.
For 2013?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
All
okay.
right. With that, I'll move approval of the contract so long as there is a follow-up with the insurance.
Okay. And thank you for, it's a good question, and thank you for being proactive in this issue. I think that's very important. Motion made to approve by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item E1, Health Agency, consider approval of request to purchase 4 air cards for laptops to be used in the outreach and enrollment program for a 3-month period at a total cost of $480 to be paid for by the outreach and enrollment grant.
Good morning, Commissioners. Alice Weingartner, Health Agency. As noted, this is a request to purchase air cards or MiFi devices that will allow our outreach workers to work at off-site locations. And so we bring this request to you, and it is a grant-covered expense. I'd be happy to answer any other questions.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion to approve made by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye, opposed no. No. Motion carries 2-1. Commissioner Archer votes no. Next item, please.
Item E2, consider authorization and execution of contract C30 to 2014, renewal of the site agreement between Kansas Department of Health and Environment Division of Healthcare Finance and the Shawnee County Health Agency to provide workspace for KDHE outreach employee with no associated direct costs.
Morning, Commissioners. Allison Alejos, Health Agency. This is a renewal of the site agreement that we have with Kansas Department of Health and Environment to keep a worker in our facility to help assist folks in getting enrolled in Medicaid. This has been very beneficial for us. We're able to make referrals from our own client population, as well as others in the community are able to send folks in for assistance. There's no fee to us. We provide an office space and some office supplies, but other than that, there's no other direct cost.
Thank you, Alice. Questions or comments?
I would move for approval of the contract with the Kansas Department of Health and Environment.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. No. For opposed, motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item E3, Health Agency, consider approval of request for out-of-state travel for a SCHA team leader to attend the Nurse Family Partnership training at no cost to the county.
Back in March of 2013, the Health Agency was granted permission to apply for and become a Nurse Family Partnership program. That implementation plan requires that we send our team leaders to training the supervisors, and so this is the required training. It is January 28th through 30th in Denver, and it will help that supervisor be able to implement the program more effectively, understand the requirements for those that are actually doing the work, as well as her role is trying to make sure that they've got that information. The cost for this will be paid for through the Medicaid match contract or grant that we have through Kansas Department of Health and Environment, so there's no direct cost from the county.
Questions or comments? Let me do it. I'll make a motion to approve the request. Seconded by Commissioner Bueller.
Sure.
All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item E4, Health Agency, consider approval of request to issue a BlackBerry cellular telephone to each of the 3 breastfeeding peer counselors at a cost of $35 per month per phone to be paid for by the KDHE WIC grant.
This is a request to actually issue the cellular telephones to our breastfeeding peer counselors. These are women that provide support and assistance to those that are nursing from our WIC clientele. We are actually going to see if we can make a change to this request to do the smartphones, the iPhones. I've had some conversations with Pat Oblander, and we can in fact use that technology versus the BlackBerry. So that would be, I'd like to change the request. The cost is the same, and in order for the breastfeeding peer counselors to have that, it would improve the ability to communicate with the clients that they serve. It would be a great tool for them to have. The cost for those phones would be $35. There's no difference between the iPhones and the BlackBerry, but we would prefer to use the iPhone if we can get this approved.
Questions or comments?
Mr. Chair. if I
Yes.
may. I know that we've discussed this previously, but while this is paid for out of a state grant, and it's not county dollars that are tied to it, I do have a concern about this being used for personal use, and so we have policies in place that the employees would not be using these phones for their own personal use.
Correct. We actually have policies. We do that as part of their orientation. They sign agreements stating that they will only use those phones for work-related issues. We monitor the phone bills that come in, and if we see any activity that looks inappropriate, we will investigate further and do any appropriate discipline.
Given that, I would move for approval of the purchase.
And thank you for the clarification.
A second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook to approve, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item E5, Health Agency, Consider approval to purchase with multiple vendors for education and awareness of the health insurance marketplace and outreach and enrollment assistance.
Good morning, Commissioners. Alice Weingartner again with the Health Agency. Thank you for adding this item. This plan that is presented to you is the media plan that has been developed for the outreach and enrollment efforts. There is a significant push taking place at this time to make sure that individuals who may be eligible for insurance through the marketplace are made aware of that. These funds are being used to really address our local efforts and directly impact our local community. And so that's what this plan is. We have worked with a majority of our local media vendors and have come up with a plan that will hit not only TV, radio, newspaper, but billboards as well in the community. And the total cost for this expense is $12,250. And again, this is funded through the outreach and enrollment funds we've received.
Thank you, Alice. Questions or comments?
Mr. Chair. Again, we're not talking about local dollars, but they are still tax dollars that would pay for this. Can you explain maybe a little bit more, why is this a good purchase? I mean, there's a lot of media in the press already for enrollment into the exchange. How does this directly benefit Shawnee County?
How it directly benefits our community is a lot of what we're seeing in the public, in the national, is in national media about the Affordable Care Act. This will really help us emphasize our local efforts and how folks can access the resources we have available to help educate individuals about the health insurance marketplace and help them determine their ability to use that process. So it's really focused on our residents.
And so does this work to complement reaching people that do not have insurance currently?
That is correct. It will help us reach out through, again, these various channels to make sure individuals are aware. I think it's important for you to know that even just in this last week, at the library event that we had on Tuesday, we had 60 people show up. That's the most that we've seen at any one event. At the second event we had this week, we had 25 individuals show up. So we suspect that as we continue to inform the community about the services and the staff we have available to assist, we're going to continue to see an increase in numbers of people checking it out. You know, am I eligible? That's the first question we have to answer.
And so the media campaign is not just to notify people that there's this program, but is it the media campaign going to be targeted to these are places where you can go and these are
Exactly.
events that we are holding?
Exactly. Exactly.
And with that, I would move for approval of the purchase of the media.
Second.
Motion has been made by Commissioner Cook and seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. I say no. Motion carries 2-1. Commissioner Archer votes no. Next item, please.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Item F1, Public Works Solid Waste. Consider approval of request for emergency purchase for repair of the west overhead door at the North Annex Garage at a cost of $2,017.90.
Good morning, Commissioners. Excuse me. Tom Block, Public Works and Solid Waste. This item is a Public Works item. The main door that the Public Works uses to bring its vehicles and equipment into the garage for repair had a spring break and thus disabled it from allowing us to open it. So we had to use an alternate door, which was the primary entrance for solid waste vehicles. But in any event, we needed to get that door repaired as quickly as possible so we could access our Public Works vehicles. And so we contacted Mark's Overhead Door, and as mentioned, the amount was $2,017.90, and it's our recommendation that this request be approved. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Questions or comments?
I have no questions.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the request as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Archer and seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item F2, consider approval of request for emergency purchase for repair of an overhead door in the Wash Bay building at a cost of $2,685.
Commissioners, Tom Block, again with Public Works and Solid Waste. This particular incident in our wash bay, the exit door was opened after, well, put it this way, we had gone a long time without we were having some issues with the valve in our wash bay, so we'd been a long time since we'd been able to use our wash bay, and we began using it in the exit door with two large overhead doors, one for an entrance, one for an exit. The exit door was open, and it apparently had not risen all the way up to be fully opened. And we had a vehicle going through the wash bay. And when you go through the wash bay, there's just water flying all over the place, and you really can't see very well. And the driver of one of our trucks with a high-profile truck didn't realize that the door hadn't opened all the way, so it was hanging down a little bit lower, and the top of our truck snagged the bottom of the door. So that is what happened. Again, in the cold weather, we needed to get it repaired as quickly as possible because we couldn't have freezing pipes and freezing valves. So we contacted the Ray Anderson Company on this particular case to fix the door. So that is our recommendation, that we pay this bill for that repair. Any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Questions or comments?
Any damage to the truck?
No. No. I mean, it's
So,
unfortunately, it's just one of those things, but it happened.
move approval of the expenditure for the repair of the door.
I'll second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook and seconded by Commissioner Bueller to approve. All in favor say aye. No. For those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item F3, consider acceptance of easements and authorization to pay the agreed settlement amount of $8,000 to Marvin and Patricia Irie for the Southwest 29th Street, Southwest Indian Hills Road to Southwest Urish Road project.
Commissioners, Tom Block again with Public Works and Solid Waste. This is a Public Works item. As has been mentioned previously, we have a upcoming project that will be widening Southwest 29th Street between Urish and Indian Hills Road. The Iries live at the intersection of 29th and Indian Hills on the northeast corner. There is some property from them that we need to acquire for right-of-way. We've had our right-of-way appraiser go out and appraise the land, and we've come back to an agreed amount that we feel is fair for the amount that we are taking. This would be the last parcel of right-of-way that we would need for this project, so we'll be ready to go, and we'll be ready to finish design and then begin having utilities move out of the way. So in this particular project will be funded from our road and bridge funds that we have been accumulating. So if there's any questions regarding this, I'd be happy to try to answer them. As far as the project is concerned, this one is slated to occur in 2016.
I have a question. Tom, where do we stand as far as acquiring easements for all the property that we need for the?
This would be the last parcel.
This is it?
This is it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any questions? Anyone else? Okay.
Move for approval of the purchase of the easement.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Cook and seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item F4, consider approval of request to award bid for the Lake Sherwood Sanitary Sewer Collection System, areas A, B, C, and D, for CCTV inspection, cleaning, and GIS services, and authorization and execution of contract C31-2014 for the same.
Commissioners, Tom Block again with Public Works and Solid Waste. This is a Public Works item in regards to the Sherwood Sanitary Sewer System. This item is a preventative maintenance item that's actually been needed for quite some time, in which we will go out and we've took bids to have the portion of the Sherwood Sanitary Sewer System around the entire lake the oldest portions of the lake, of the sewer system, clean, to have it cleaned and televised so that we can, one, the televising will help indicate or identify locations of repairs that maybe need to be made in the future, so we can help us develop a long-term capital improvements program for that collection system. And the cleaning is just a preventative item that will help prevent backups in the sewer system. We took bids. We actually had 4 companies interested, but however, only one of them submitted a bid. Ace Pipe Cleaning of Kansas City, Missouri. We are very familiar with this company and know they do a very good job. So we're very comfortable with making the recommendation for award to Ace. The amount they bid was $168,077.27. The funding for this would come from the Sherwood Regional Sewer District funds. So if there's any questions regarding this, I'd be happy to try to answer them. This work is to begin in early March.
I have none.
Question,
Commissioner Bueller.
Mr. Chair. Tom, do they go around and do advance notification by door hangers and that
Yes,
sort
that
of
will be
thing?
part of the contract. They are
Some
required to do that, yes.
instructions.
And myself and Mr. Flanagan have gone out and spoken with the Sherwood Improvement
Improvement
District
District.
Board, their last board meeting. I believe they were going to put something in their Sherwood Gazette to notify the residents also.
Because there are some things that you need to do in your home prior to, or you can do prior
Yes.
to.
And as far as, there really should be very little disruption. They will need to access manholes that may be in folks' backyards potentially, but there is an easement along the whole stretch, so they will have, they may have some equipment that needs to access them, but they really should not. There should be no excavation of any type. You basically lift the manhole lid, put their remote camera and run it from manhole to manhole, and then just move on down the line.
So do you get a copy of that DVD or video?
Yes,
That's
actually,
an
we're gonna,
exciting
actually.
viewing, I'm sure.
Oh. I can't wait. It's like summer. It's the summer. If you don't like watching Breaking Bad, this is the next best thing. But, actually, we will have this all put on our GIS. So, it will be really useful information by the time it's all said and done.
Thank you, Tom.
Sure, that was actually going to be my question about the retaining of the video. I know that last spring, Barry Beagle and I had the opportunity to go over to Johnson County to look at some of the things they do in their planning department, and their GIS department in Johnson County has a complete integration to where you can see not just the house or the plans, but also the sewer lines, and so really a whole integration of public works, planning, and GIS, and so I look forward to anything that we can do to kind of coordinate and combine our efforts. So
Thank you, Commissioner.
I would, go ahead.
I'll move approval of the contract.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Bueller and seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item F5, consider approval of request to solicit bids, waive bidding procedures, and purchase various materials for the 2014 calendar year and the 2014 to 2015 winter season at a total estimated cost of $2,080,000.
Commissioners, Tom Block again, Public Works and Solid Waste. This is a Public Works item. Essentially what this is it's a catch-all request to go out for bid at some point in the future throughout the year for all the different materials that we would need for road maintenance, as opposed to coming here 15 different times on each individual item. This, like I mentioned, this is just one request for all the different items that we will need to acquire. There are a few items, 4 items: a traffic paint, tack oil, crushed stone, and sign facing materials that we request to waive the bidding procedures and purchase from certain vendors. And the reason for that is the traffic line paint that would be on state contract from Kansas Correctional Institute. The tack oil is the reason we're asking for that. We would like to purchase that directly from Bettis Asphalt is because the storage tank we have for that material is very small, and they are the sole source provider in Topeka and the regional area. Otherwise, we would have to travel to Kansas City to get it each time we need it, and it's not cost effective to do that because of the small quantities we would be acquiring. As far as the crushed stone, there are different quarries. We never know when we're going to need certain types of stone or rock for construction, and there are different quarries throughout, around the county, and we get their prices, and so depending on which quarry is nearest to the work that we're doing, it saves us transportation costs, which can far outweigh the difference there might be in prices in stones between the quarries, and so it's been to our advantage the last, well, we've been doing this for a long time, it's been to our advantage to just go to the quarry that's nearest to purchase the rock. And then the sign materials, if you recall here last week, we approved that extension of our contract with 3M to purchase the materials from them on the contract we have with them already. So these costs that were listed in the memo are estimated costs of what we think we can spend throughout the year, and it also includes some monies that we will be purchasing on behalf of the townships. So the funding would come from the Public Works, the majority of the funding would come from the Public Works operational budget, but it would also be supplemented as needed from the townships' road maintenance budgets. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Questions or comments?
No questions on the approval of the request?
I'll second, but I would note that you're seeking bids of $2 million, not that Shawnee County is spending $2 million.
Right, and I do want to, I didn't mention this, but I do want to point out that anytime we take bids on the materials, they will come back before the commission for final approval.
Second.
Okay, and that's a good point. Thank you. Thank you. Motion made by Commissioner Bueller and seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye, opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item F6, update on curbside recycling.
Commissioners, Tom Block again, Public Works and Solid Waste. This is a solid waste item. And a year ago, a little over a year ago, on January 7th of 2013, whoops, excuse me, I'm getting ahead of myself here, we implemented the curbside recycling program. And now that we have reached our 1-year anniversary, I wanted to come before you and just give you a summary of how the year went and let you ask any questions about it. But in case anybody forgot, this is what one of our side load trucks looks like. So if you see one of these on the streets, we're picking up recycling with one of these. These are the results as of the end of the year 2013. As I mentioned, service began the week of January 7th, 2013. For the year, in our recycling division, we've collected just over 11,000 tons of total recycling material, of which 6,180 of that was curbside material. And that leaves a remainder of 4,900 tons from our public or commercial customers. We saw an increase compared of total recyclable material collected from the year before of an increase of 4,345 tons, which is a 65% increase of materials collected, recyclable materials collected from 2012. Now earlier, or back in, I think it was around April or May of 2013, in order to help determine on what we get paid as far as the materials that we bring in, we collect it as single stream, which everything's mixed together. When we bring it to the material recovery facility, then they have an automated process that separates it into cardboard, glass, newspaper, all those different aluminum cans, all those types of things. So in order to determine what our mix of material is and determine how much material is considered as contaminated, I guess when I say contaminated, it's not recyclable material, we set aside a day where they only take our product in from our curbside trucks. So we set aside a day where we did that. We brought up our trucks, and they only run our material through their process. And the results of that was there was 9.85% of contaminated material, which is 9.85% of material that was unusable. The market assumption, based on averages throughout the nation, is typically it's about 14% contamination. So based on our results, we're essentially almost 40% less contamination than the national average had been at that time. And so we will do this, I believe, every year. We will do a sort, that's what they call it, to determine what our contamination rate is. So this is really good to have less than 10%.
Okay, question.
Commissioner?
Tom, give some examples of what contamination would be. I mean, what does that mean?
Contamination might be like garden hoses or pizza boxes or styrofoam or plastic bags, food waste, just things that are not recyclable. So that was really good. Hopefully we can keep that percentage, because if we can, that will be really good. As far as going into the curbside recycling, there were some folks who were for it, some that were against it. So we anticipated that we would have a loss of some customers along the way, in which we did, in which we anticipated. We lost, as far as Shawnee County Solid Waste, as of the end of the year, we had lost about 3.7% of our customers from before the recycling had begun. We had actually predicted we would probably lose 5 to 7%. So 3.7% loss is not happy about it, but it's better than what we predicted. However, I do believe the trend is turning around, and this next graph here shows you on a month-to-month basis. I don't know if this is working. This is back in August of 2012. And this is when we really started to get the word out that curbside was coming, that we were going to start it in January of 2013. So August we were up, 42,000, I think 300 or so customers. And then as we got to October and November is when we started delivering the carts. We started seeing a downward trend of some people, canceling service or changing service providers. Then as we got into January, down to March, we started more and more as people realized, they just thought we were going to go a different direction. Also at this time, another service provider started an active campaign or a marketing campaign to try to get folks to switch service based on our implementation of the curbside, and that had some impact. It really did have some impact. So it picked up a little bit in March, and then it started dropping again until about August and September. It leveled off, and then in October and the remaining of the year, we started seeing an uptick. And the campaign that I understand was going to be a 1-year temporary price reduction from some other service providers. So I anticipate beginning now and through this year, hopefully we'll see an uptick in these numbers also. But that's a visual representation of how our customer numbers had changed throughout the year.
Just briefly, in making charts and graphs and looking at levels, trends, and comparisons, that's a very narrow range that we're looking at. Because when you look at that graph, it looks like we've lost half of our customers.
Right.
So you have to be real careful in making presentations. I found, and I'm not being critical, I'm just saying that was a very narrow band of customers that we took a look at. So.
And again, this is 3.7%.
Right, exactly.
But you're right, it looks a
Yeah,
lot worse than it actually is.
Yeah, no, if we looked at all our customers, we'd barely see a decline in the trend. So anyway, I
That was a good
apologize for
point.
interrupting.
Because you're right, the bottom number here is 39,000.
Yeah.
If I went down to 0, it would flatten this
Yeah,
flatten
exactly,
this
and
curve out.
I want to make sure everybody understands
That is a good point.
Okay, thank you, Tom.
As far as our recyclable totals in tons, this is just a bar graph. The blue bars are what we received each month of the, in 2012, and the red is the tons of material we received in the same months in 2013. So you can see, and this one does start at 0 at the bottom of the graph. So you can see visually a little bit of the increase that we've had on a month-by-month basis as far as tons taken in. And this is the same information, just on a line graph that shows from a month-to-month basis how our curve has jumped up as far as tons of material taken in. Now, as far as financials go regarding the curbside, the average monthly customer count that we had throughout all of 2013 was 40,891. As you recall, our fees had increased $4 per month when we implemented the curbside. So if, assuming all 40,000 customers paid their $4 per month, paid their bills on time, that's a potential fee revenue of $1,962,788. The material revenue we received from Waste Management, based on our contract agreement with them, for the curbside material, we received about $38,000 in material. That, I believe, is only about 20% of what its actual value would be on just the market. But we have an agreement where we cost share, and that's how it come to $38,000. Now, as I mentioned, we had over 4,500 tons of additional recyclable material that was saved from the landfill. And when we bring materials to the landfill, we pay to put it into the landfill. So we essentially save money from tipping fees by not putting it in the landfill. Those savings were right around $142,000. So even though it's not a revenue, it's a savings. As far as expenses regarding the curbside program, we had startup costs of just over $4 million, of which the trucks were just under $2 million, and our containers were just over $2 million. So those were startup costs. And as far as truck maintenance and fuel costs for the year, $203,000. Now those costs will go up because they were brand new trucks, so I anticipate higher increased maintenance costs as we go from year to year. As far as collection and administration labor and benefits, this is just an estimate. Some of the labor I can know really closely what we paid, like our drivers, who are 100%. For admin and support staff, supervisors, all our office staff, I just estimated a percentage. I believe I used about 25%. About 25% of labor, of their total labor, and accounted that towards the recycling, because it's essentially we provide the recycling service half as often as we do the refuse service, and there's half as many routes essentially. So that's estimated to be about $800,000, and then depreciation cost based on, we anticipate these trucks will have a lifespan of only about 5 years, and the containers an average of about 7 years. Depreciation costs estimated about $700,000. So overall, I really think we're about right where we need to be as far as revenue that we can generate and expenses that are incurred. So if there's any questions regarding this, I'd be happy to try to answer them, but this is about all I know. As far as early conclusions after a year, people really care about their trash and their recycling. It's really, I'll be honest, it's really eye-opening how passionate some folks can be. I think single stream has really increased participation. I think it is extremely easy and simple to just throw in a container and then have it separated somewhere else. So I think, and I still, those that may not have wanted to try it, I still encourage them to do so, because it is so simple, it is so easy, and I think you'll be amazed at how much material out there is recyclable. I have a fairly large family with several children, and our trash container used to be overflowing every week, now it's about half full each time. Whereas our recycling material, our recycling container, even though it's every other week, that thing's now overflowing every time we bring it out to the curb. So it is, if you have the room in your garage, it is extremely easy to do. So I would encourage anyone that hasn't done it to try it. One of the questions we have is, will every other week pickup for recycling be sufficient? That is that's a tough question to answer, and because to go to every week collection, it's just going to essentially double the cost to provide that service. And there has been some talk about, well, do we go to every week collection of recyclables and every other week of trash? Sounds good, but I don't think you really can have your trash sitting there for 2 weeks, because the trash is what starts to smell, especially in the summer. So we don't have an answer for that. We haven't reached a point where we need to do that. That is a potential issue in the future. Man, we have lots of work yet to do and improve. We can be a lot better at what we're doing, and what's our intent is to evaluate it and get better. But we can get better, and we'll do that. We want this material recovery facility up north to be successful, and they're successful if we're successful, and vice versa. So we need to continue promoting and educating people, and get people on board to do it. Because, like I said, it is very simple, very easy. And one thing I found during the year is I have a very good solid waste staff. They're very good, and have made my first year with that department as good as it could be. So I appreciate that very much with their efforts and their work. And then with our efforts, one thing I would like to announce, we were just recently notified that Keep America Beautiful has awarded Shawnee County first place in the national awards for its waste reduction award for government entities. So we're pretty proud of that, and that was, of course, a direct result of the implementation of the curbside recycling program. And Felicia McKee from Keep America Beautiful will be going to North Carolina, I believe it is, I think next month in February, to accept that award on our behalf. So we're pretty proud of that, because it was quite a experience, I guess, putting this thing into place.
Say that.
So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them. Well, a couple of comments. Number one, Shawnee County's proud of that overall. Number two, the approach to listen to customers and always look for better ways to do our job is admirable, and that's what Shawnee County does. And lastly, I'd like to give my highest compliments to Commissioner Bueller and the prior commission for implementing roadside recycling. It has been a huge success for our county, and thank you, Commissioner Bueller, for pushing that forward. Are there other?
I just want to make a comment. Sometimes it's still hard to believe that we actually did get it done.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
true.
look at the ridge and everybody, because it was a long time coming, but it took a lot of good people to come together, look into Rich and former director and lots of different people that stepped up. But it's been a good first year, and congratulations to you and your staff as well. I will say that for the last year, Leadership Greater Topeka, as part of their Government Day, they have taken a tour of the MRF, and so to try to do that for promotion and education. And I don't know, commissioners, have you had an opportunity to go out there? So it's an experience, but we're going to continue to do that with some of the leaders in Topeka and Shawnee County to make sure that word keeps getting out there. So.
And I guess, one thing I don't know if there's any businesses out there that really haven't thought about recycling, but the businesses can save a lot of money if they were to get into recycling, because as I mentioned, the amount of fees that we save from our tipping fees, if they can reduce the size of the container that they use for their trash, that more than offsets any cost there would be in the recycling. So any businesses out there, I would really encourage them, because they can be large generators of material, so.
Well, and like you said, that household hazardous waste, that's increased, what we're receiving there, so it's been good all around.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Cook?
I would commend you as, or commend Commissioner Bueller, as you indicated. It's really visionary for the past commission to undertake this for Shawnee County, really visionary for the whole process, to look at the idea when it started and to see where we're at today and the increases for recycling, but also the staff that Tom has, his availability, the staff that he works with, and just the whole process and just how it came together. So, and as you indicated, it's a success not for Topeka, but for Shawnee County.
One more thing.
Yes, Commissioner
Without
Bueller.
waste management and the partnership that we have with them, with the MRF, this could not have happened, in my opinion.
Oh,
I
that's very
think
true.
It's critical that we point that out, that partnership with private industry was critical.
Very good. Thank you again, Tom. Next item.
Item G1, Commission. Reflect that Commissioner Bueller has reappointed Toby McAuliffe to the 3rd Judicial District Nominating Commission for a 4-year term beginning March 1st, 2014.
Commissioner, any comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate Mr. McCullough. He is a principal of a local high school, and he did an excellent job, and I appreciate him serving more years.
Thank you. Thank you. Next item.
Item H1, would this be the commission?
And I think this falls under audit finance.
Okay. Audit Finance. Consider acceptance of the Treasurer's Idle Funds Investment Quarterly Report ending December 31st, 2013.
Betty Griner, Financial Administrator. I'd like to point out, though, that this is truly the treasurer's report. I will be happy to try to answer any questions, but the Treasurer Ma is more than happy to. I would be more than happy for him to join me if you have questions regarding the report.
Mr. Chair, the reason I asked for it to be taken off the consent and placed onto the regular commission agenda is there's some charts and graphs that are contained within the report, specifically where we look at what we budget versus what we actually have as interest. And I thought maybe if we had a little bit of discussion for the public as to what the treasurer's idle funds are, as well as what the difference is between what we budget and what we receive.
Okay. Well, the idle funds are just basically our cash balance on hand. Now, as you look at his reports, you can see that the balance in October and November was much lower than at the end of December. Well, of course, that is because in December we have, our taxes coming in. Those idle funds stay idle, till we have our first distribution, which will be tomorrow, will be the first distribution of this year. Then all of those taxes that go to other taxing authorities, be it the school districts, the cities, those types of things, then those funds go out of that. So we are just a holding place for those funds. What is the Shawnee County's portion, of course, we retain. So although the amounts look very high at the end of the year, those funds will not all remain. A big portion of those go out in distributions. Unfortunately, we did not meet our budgeted income on investments. There are very strict rules by statute what we can invest in, and based on those rules, the interest rates have just been very low. We try to invest in the highest amounts we can. That is something we are looking at and making sure that we are investing in the highest investments we can. Like I say, we're very limited, not only to the types of investments, but it has to be, like the banks that we invest in have to have a branch within the county, those types of things. So it's very restricted on what we can invest in. I might also add, though, that when you're looking at these funds and it shows depository accounts, that money is also invested. It's just not invested in a CD. It's invested just in, a money market type investment. We are getting a little bit of interest, not a lot, because as you know, those rates are just so low.
Thank you very much. And that was really just to add a little bit more explanation as to what the difference is and how that impacts Shawnee County.
Do you have anything you'd like to add?
We'll stand up here together. Larry Moss, Shawnee County Treasurer. I just wanted to add, for the public's edification, I know the commission understands this. It's the treasurer's report because by statute I have to sign off on the investment report. That's based on the assumption that the treasurer normally, particularly in the smaller counties, has control over the investments. We in the past have moved that investment responsibility over to finance. And so Betty actually invests the money, but I get to sign off on it.
Right. That's right.
Well, I should say, I get to sign off on the results. I don't necessarily get to sign off on what she invests. But I think it's appropriate. Betty and I have had some discussion. There is actually a committee that's been somewhat idle in the past that we're going to reestablish that will be an investment committee, and the treasurer is a member.
Yes.
I'm told.
Yes.
So I will have to be a little more involved with that in the future. And hopefully the economy will turn around to the point where we will get more investment income.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
I
Commissioner.
appreciate you referencing that policy, that committee that we
Mm.
have, because I think in the past, we did have just one person kind of looking at these investments, and I felt it was important that more than
Yes.
one person looks at these investments and weighs in on that, so I appreciate hearing that there's some discussion about that.
And I'd like to take this opportunity, the investment, the way the finances are handled in Shawnee County is a partnership between the finance department and the treasurer's department. And with my last year as a treasurer, that has worked very well, and I compliment Betty and her staff.
Okay, thank you.
I would move for approval of the treasurer's idle funds report.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Cook and seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye, and no. Opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item 5, Administrative Communications.
Good morning, Brian Cole, Department of Corrections. I just wanted to update the community that next week we will begin our video visitation process. We truly believe that that will enhance the ability for the community to visit with their, if they have somebody that's in jail. It does have several options. I know County Councilor Rich had mentioned something about not reading the blogs. I sometimes do read the blogs as well, and when this announcement first came out, I received a lot of emails regarding what's this going to cost the county and the taxpayers to implement or to put this equipment in. And I want to emphasize this was nothing. This was zero amount to the county. That we still will provide options for family members to come to the jail and to do video visitation. But one of the benefits of having video visitation is that a lot of the families have to deal with getting in the money for gas, coming out of town, out of the city, of the state. Sometimes coming to the jail makes people uncomfortable. So this will give them the opportunity to visit in the safe confines, I should say, of their home and confidence. So they would have to pay for a fee to use it if they did it off-site. But as far as the questions that I was given was, you're going to put this equipment in, how much was it going to cost the taxpayers? And I want to emphasize it did not cost the taxpayers any money to put this in. So, but we're proud of that. It's going to start, people will be able to start signing up for visits, and then we'll start kicking in, and I believe it will enhance the safety and security and the customer service to the community.
Thank you, Brian.
Commissioners, Tom Block again with Public Works and Solid Waste. This is a solid waste item. Next week, on Monday, is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and that is a holiday for the county, so we will not be providing any solid waste collection on that day, so I wanted to just to mention what our collection schedule will be for next week. Monday, the 20th, there'll be no collections. Those regular Monday customers will be picked up on Tuesday. Tuesday customers will then be picked up on Wednesday, and then Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday customers will be no change for them. And then also on the public works side, we will be commencing the reconstruction of Northwest 46th Street between Rochester and Topeka Boulevard beginning in March. And I wanted to announce that we're going to have a public open house meeting for this project, where we are going to have it on Monday, January 27th, between 5:30 and 7:30 p.m. at the Seaman High School Commons area. We will have just separate or several stations set up, all be the same, where people can just come in and talk to us and ask questions about schedule and detours and things of that nature. But there will be no formal presentation. It's just be an opportunity for them to come in, see some drawings of the project, and ask questions about how it impacts them.
You get the time on that?
5:30 to 7:30 at Seaman High School Commons area on Monday, January 27th. And that address is 4850 Northwest Rochester Road.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Are there others for administrative communications? Commissioners?
Commissioner Archer, I had the opportunity on Tuesday to attend the legislative reception at the State House. It was well attended. I know that we had several of our county leaders, Becky Nyosi, Andrew Howe. I was probably surprised with how many people came up to see Mr. Howell and how popular he was on the State House. And we might have found a new resource. But also, Mr. Eckert was there, and so it was a good welcoming session for the legislature.
I had that opportunity to stop by as well, and did see the county map, the state map with the
Oh, that's
counties
right.
represented, and it is very nice. If you haven't had a chance to visit the visitor center, it's their gift shop and all that sort of thing. So after business, I did walk around and take a little bit of a tour, so it is beautiful. So, just a reminder that we do not have a meeting on Monday.
Okay. Thank you. And yeah, I passed Commissioner Cook on the hall going into the event, and it was nice. I'd like to thank the Register of Deeds for filling in for the county clerk today, and you did pass the audition. On a serious note, I wanted to express our thoughts and prayers for Cindy Harper and her family on the loss of Cindy's sister. So I did want to mention that. Next item, please.
Item 6, executive session.
I think there is a need for executive session not to exceed 15 minutes, to include the finance administrator, real estate and legal items, HR director, county counselor, finance administrator, and no action anticipated.
That would be for the personnel matters of non-elected personnel?
Exactly. So I'll make a motion to go into executive session. Motion seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. We are back in session. Let the record reflect that no action was taken, and I'll make a motion to adjourn. And remind everyone that we're going to, what?
He had to leave.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah.
Okay.
He had to leave. We're going to reschedule the work session.
Oh, okay. Then, motion to adjourn.
Yeah, he had,